Good. So I call the meeting to order, and we'll have a roll call. Sarah?
Present.
Donna?
Present.
Christine?
Present.
Cheryl?
Here.
Michael has let us know that he will not be able to make it tonight. And Sam Bossum here. Are there any public comments on agenda items? There's no public tonight. Any amendments to the agenda?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the prior meeting's minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call or vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move on to department staff updates. Assistant Director of Recreation Division, Gina.
Good evening. I'll start with aquatics. So through July 9th, our attendance at Jefferson Pool is 7,494. Last year, same time, 8,664. When I saw that, I pulled the weather data from this year and last year. And this year, we were closed 62 hours, which is a little bit more than 8 days in terms of how many hours the pool is open. Last year, we were closed 20.5 hours during the same time period. So we did have, and that was due to weather or the air quality, that issue we had not too long ago. So that does explain a little bit in terms of the difference in the numbers. Right now, we already have 438 passes that we have sold. Last year was 490. Weather plays a role in that, too. If you get a string of warm, sunny, dry days, you sell more pool passes. So hopefully this last half of July and what we're open in August will make up for the slow start. Mariners, I think I reported on this prior. We have 107 registered. Last year we had 104. The final home meet of the season that was scheduled on June 28th was moved to Wooddale because of some repairs that Jefferson needed in lane 3. However, the meet in Wooddale was canceled due to the air quality. So that we didn't have that meet. The final dual meet will be tomorrow in Roselle. And then we have B conference on Saturday, July 15th, and A conference on Saturday, July 22nd. The Mariners will hold their end of the season banquet and pool party on Saturday, July 22nd, after the A conference meet has concluded. That's been what they've been doing the last few years. And so they have the banquet at the pool in the concession area, and then they, of all things, they go swimming, because they haven't swum enough. Let's go to programs. We had a soccer camp. We have a soccer camp July 17th through the 21st at Willowbrook High School. We have 24 enrolled. Last year we had 19. So that's a good numbers. Adults and seniors, 15 programs. Last month, 303 participants. Last year, same time, 12 programs, 184 participants. So that number is up. Day camp. Through 5 weeks of camp, 157 registered for junior adventure and senior adventure, 157. Last year, 130. So that number's up. Mini Adventure Camp, 166 this year. We did change mini camp a little bit, and we're running it a little bit longer. Last year 51, this year 166. So good participation numbers. We move over to events. Summer Festival was held on June 24th. We had, beer garden totals, $7,055 this year, $7,033 last year. So the beer garden revenue is up a little bit from last year, but the prices were raised a little bit as well. And the kids' wristbands, 297 last year, 179 this year. So that number is down. If we look at total total visits, total guests that were at the event, this year is estimated at 2,750. Last year was estimated at 3,500. Although I don't know for a fact or not, but the Villa Park Youth Baseball held their All-Star weekend that same day, starting on June 24th. The previous year, there wasn't that competition with that, so I don't know if that played a role or not. So we're still gathering information on revenue and expenses. And we have to get the numbers back from Euclid Beverage to find out what type of a refund we're getting from the product that we purchased, that the chamber purchased in advance of the event. And then lastly, June concerts, Thursdays in June, and we'll have them again in August. We had 5 concerts. Approximate attendance, 2,575 this year. Last year, when I looked up the number, we were at 2,000. So in both years, we had five Thursdays in June. So that number is up as well. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I saw a posting for, I believe it's Sue is doing an aquatics class. Is that something new?
I think she's running was it a lifeguard certification
No, it was
or fitness?
a fitness.
You know, we've tried the last few years to run aquatic fitness, and we just haven't had a lot of great success, but it is happening this year.
Okay.
So
yeah, I just wondered if it was something new.
It hasn't, it's a new instructor, and we, haven't had a lot of interest in the previous few years, but we do have interest this year.
Okay.
I had a question, and this has to do with your numbers from what you gave us last time.
Okay?
I know I probably should have. The revenue for the junior adventure and the senior adventure camp, you had the revenue of 2022 being higher than the current enrollment. Is that a mistake or something that we still haven't had revenue?
I'm sorry, which?
The revenue amount on the current enrollment, I'm only seeing that the numbers for the first week is like we were 2 people off there, but the second week we had 1 more. But when I look at the revenue, it looks like our current revenue is a lot less than the year of 2022.
So this year, we changed registration just a little bit. We're not offering registration by the day. We're doing it by the week. So there's, how do I say this? To pay by the day was more expensive than to pay by the week.
Okay.
And so our numbers are reflecting a week's worth of registration, whereas last year it included each day. So, and that what costs.
So it's a cost
It's not
efficient.
an apples to apples
Okay,
comparison.
it's more of a cost efficient type thing. Okay.
Are we not
I-
offering per day pricing just for staffing, scheduling, or?
Exactly, to schedule staff. Because it was very challenging to make sure we had the right amount of staff for the number of kids when,
People just
you
showed
know,
up
no
with
matter
the money
how
that
much we
day.
asked, they would come that day, and then you don't want to, you know, turn anybody away, but it was getting challenging to do that. So we did a lot of advertising to let people know, and I think it's okay, and it certainly makes it easier to organize the day's events and the themes and so forth, so.
Same thing with staffing too. I mean, if you have all the staff here and then nobody registers on a daily and then you have too many staff. So that's
Correct.
So has that been, I guess this is showing the, you know, revenue part. Has that decreased the, like, staffing costs because you can appropriately staff?
Well, what we were trying to do is make sure we didn't have too many staff here if we didn't need them, because all of the staff received pay increases based on raising our minimum pay. So, you know, we're trying to find our way with that to make sure we have the right amount of staff where we're not, you know, having people here when we don't necessarily need them.
Have to pay them for not need them.
Correct.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question then?
Yes.
Okay.
The other question I had for you, Gina, was that you said the 41 family-friendly events offered by the rec department, and 32 of them are non-cost to the residents. Are those regular things or just activities that you were just?
You're referencing the minutes from last month?
Yes.
Okay.
Where you had 41 family-friendly, because we asked you to break that down, which you did for us. Family-friendly offered for the rec department, and then you stated there was 32 on that are not cost to the residents. Are those regular programs or those the special event
14 of
type
them were
things?
concerts.
Those would be what we would call like a family event that we don't, that is an event we put on and there's no charge for those.
Okay, but are those things that are actually in the brochure that are free, or are these family events that come?
Oh, no, they're advertised.
So they're advertised in the brochure, right?
Yes.
We're speaking of activities that are actually in the brochure.
Correct.
That are, 32 of them are family-friendly, but no cost to residents of the park.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted clarification on. I just, are they actually in the brochure or things that we, you know?
No, they're
Put
they're in the
together? They're
brochure.
actually in the brochure that end up being, okay, thank you. I was trying to look in the brochure and count them, and I'm like, okay, I'll just ask. Well, yeah, but I mean,
Got one, too. Yeah, I've got one, too. Can you please confirm the senior lunch, is that on Friday this week, and is that at the library, and if so, what time?
Yes, I just questioned this because we were working on the schedule for the office and, you know, Janet needed a little bit of help. It is on Friday. I know she gets there at 9. I think that everyone arrives around 11. That's what time we have people scheduled to go over. I should say, I think the event, I apologize, starts at 12, and our helpers go over around 11. And that is at the library. And we did that because we normally have it here in the gym now, and it's really gets very, very warm in there, and so we were able to work out a schedule for Fridays at the library. It was very nice of them to work with us and make sure everybody was comfortable.
Thank you.
Any other questions before I move on? All right, Parks and Rec Grounds Division Superintendent, Brian?
Thank you. All right, some current completed park facility projects, update on the CRB. In the event that you haven't gone past Lions Park, the demolition out there is well underway. The building is completely down now. A good portion of the basketball court, mostly the standards and stuff like that have been removed and taken out. The playground, about half or so of the playground is removed without the pavers. In talking with Joeler, they're estimating they being completed with the work out there at the end of next week. Again, it's their estimate. there could be extenuating circumstances that, take them one way or the other, but their hope is to be done by the end of next week. We saved approximately 75 to 100 of the bricks, the face bricks from the building. So we have those at our shop. We also saved the Lions sign off the building that was out in front. We'll work to coordinate with anyone who wants bricks following the completion of the demolition project. And once it's there, we'll put it out on social media, and we'll let staff know if they have anybody who may want or be interested, and we'll work with anybody to coordinate getting them bricks. We also continue taking the time-lapse photos out there. We actually have 2 cameras set up now. We tried to set up one to get a good image of the whole site, but it was the post that we could stick it on, it just wasn't enough. So we ended up putting the second one out there so we can see the whole playground, the basketball court area, and then the building moving up. So once the demolition's complete, we'll pull those back in. We'll try to work through those and edit them, and then as soon as they're ready, we'll get them out there as well on social media and the village website. Over at Franklin Park, we made improvements to the baseball field over there. We cut and removed the lips around the outfield edge. It wasn't until we actually measured everything out, kind of painted it. The symmetry of the arc was off on the third base side, so it was kind of fun to see it kind of painted out and corrected. But there was also a good lip on the third base side, so we took those out, corrected everything, made it nice and symmetrical. We also added new ball field mix, which we've been trying to add some at our fields. The new mix improves drainage for us, helps cut down on rainouts. Not as fun oftentimes to slide in, but I think it's been a good give and take with baseball and everything like that. We graded the field, we added a new home plate, and then we cleaned up the player areas and stuff like that. Over at the Rugger Gazebo on the Prairie Path, in prep for Summer Festival, all the landscape areas east and west of the gazebo were cleaned up, cleaned out, weeded. We edged everything, we added some new mulch. We also went through and restained the entire gazebo that was over there again. It was getting a little weathered. I think it's been a couple of years now, I think, since we did that last. We also, when we initially stained it, the one time we put solar post caps around the gazebo. They were nice for a while, but they've been a little bit more of a headache since, so we replaced them with just solid caps. The Rotary Park gazebo, similar to the Rugger gazebo, we're working over there now to clean that up and get that stained, kind of similar to that one. We're going to power wash everything, clean it off, prep any areas, clean the concrete and all that as well. The gazebo is not as intricate as the Rugged one. The ceiling above is kind of wide open, where the Rugged has a lot of internal beams and there's not a lot of railings around it. So it'll take us a few days, I think, out there, but probably not as long initially as that. Additionally, with painting projects, we're working with Certa Pro painters to do the exterior of the police department and Village Hall building. Both buildings, I believe, already have, or they've started power washing, but they'll be power washed off. They'll prep any areas that they need to get everything ready. At the police department, the exterior cedar siding is all being done, as well as there's a couple of blue metal awnings on the one side of the building that they'll clean up and repaint those as well. At Village Hall, the cornice around the top of the building, I believe, is already done with that. But that's done. They're also doing the staircase. It's the black metal staircase on the west side of the building is also getting repainted. Sort of Pro, we've also asked them to help us in painting the caps on both of the gazebos. They're just the height of them and kind of where they're at with the pitch of the roof makes it a little bit less safe to do internally. It'd be more technical for us to get it. So they'll have the equipment there, and it was easier for them to be able to do it. Over at Jefferson Pool, as Gina briefly mentioned, the main pool, there was a section of concrete along the top edge of the wall that broke off on the south side of the pool in lane 3. There was also a couple of small areas of concrete in the baby pool that also came off on the floor of the pool. We coordinated with pool staff to make these repairs last week, as with the holiday and everything, there wasn't swim team, nobody was in there for before noon, so before it opened to the public. So we were able to drain the pools down, make the concrete repairs. We used some fast-setting water application mix, which ended up worked well. It dried fast. We were able to do that. We coordinated again with the fire department to have that gigantic hose out there to refill the pools. So we were able to do all of that, refill the pools, retreat everything, and make sure levels were good. And then we were able to reopen the pool at noon for the public, so there was no impact on opening or anything like that. Upcoming projects over at Lions, baseball field 1 with the new building is going to go away. So we're going to coordinate before construction to get out there and remove the infield mixed material and redistribute that to some other fields. A couple of fields that could use it, some new material. It's good material. We put it out there and it's been good, so we want to save it. We're also looking to contract some crack filling, seal coating, and striping of a couple of parking lots. Twin Lakes, Village Hall, and Fire Station 82. So that was all I had.
Go ahead.
Who am I? If there's any feasibility in adding something to you, a work list down the road, that you and I have been discussing the Public Works building on the driveway side of the west side. There are some concrete pillars that are, I think, ornamental, they're structural to the building. There might be 6 of them or so. It would be nice if by chance we could add them to the power washing list.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gerald, did you have your hand up?
Yeah. Brian, when you said they're going to be complete, are we doing the cleanup afterwards, or is that complete, when they complete the demolition, that means the whole area will be cleaned up and ready to go? Or are we having to do some interior cleaning too?
So once they're done with the building itself, with the basement and everything, they're backfilling that with CA6 stone. So that they'll fill that up to grade with stone. The basketball court, the playground, and all that are coming out, and the area is just kind of going to be left somewhat level, but kind of as is. Some of the sidewalks and stuff are coming out as well, so we'll add some barricades. So there will still be a open walkway around the neighborhood there, but we'll add barricades and what we need to make it safe for people to walk past. The silt fence that's inside of the construction fence will remain there until the new fence goes up for the building, and then they'll add their own silt fence around the project site. But no, to answer your question, we shouldn't need to do much except for set up some safety barriers and stuff once they're done.
Okay, so it should be complete, basically, until they start building the new one. In
Yeah,
other
they're
words,
gonna-
it's gonna be set up safety for people to go through there or block it so that we don't have a safety issue compared to what you're saying when the building's removed. Okay. My other question is, didn't we sandblast Jefferson Pool?
We sandblasted the baby pool like 2 years ago, and then we repainted it. So after we did that, we had to cut out a couple of sections to make the repairs because there was a pretty major leak in the baby pool. So
Okay.
that was where a couple of the leaks were, or a couple of the concrete sections came off. We made those repairs, but there was some cut corners that popped out.
Okay, so that was in the baby pool, the crack. Was it on the gutter that it cracked on lane 3?
Oh, in the main pool?
Yes.
The main pool that was on the top lip in lane 3 on the south side of the pool.
So is that considered the gutter area? Is, when you say the lip of
No,
it,
it's facing
is
swimmers.
it actually facing into the
Like during
pool?
the swim competition, they couldn't have the swim competition because that's where the swimmers touch.
Yeah.
So imagine you're
Oh,
swimming right at the
okay,
water
okay.
line or just under the water line.
Okay.
That's where it was.
But, and I only say lip because our gutter system in that pool is a little different, where the gutter is actually above the lip. So the
Okay.
top edge is kind of pitched, so the water overflows the lip and goes into the drain there. It's not right at the edge like you would
Not
see.
at the edge, like where,
Correct.
if you sat on the side of the pool, that was what I'm thinking of the edge, but you're talking about below
Yeah,
that gutter or
it's
that
just a
lip is where.
concrete lip that
Yeah.
it is over the top, and then the gutter is actually beyond that.
Okay, so is that lip where it goes, pours in?
Correct.
But we didn't sandblast that pool, correct?
We
That was
did
a while ago, a long time ago, right?
It was
Three,
before
4
I-
years.
it
No,
was
you
before
did
me.
the epoxy paint
We
on that
did.
one year.
You did the epoxy
So we
paint.
changed up the paint, we used epoxy, and that was maybe 3, 4 years ago.
It was,
And then
yeah.
prior to that, we totally removed 45, 50 years of paint.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We
a
did
while
some type
ago.
of sandblasting. Would
Yeah,
that
we got,
have caused the crack, or is that just wear and tear type
No,
thing?
it's, I mean, honestly, it's a 65-plus-year-old pool, so, I mean, we would expect to see, concrete, so that was a lot of the major repairs we made this previous year, was we identified a few sections that had significant concrete deterioration. We pulled all that out and refilled it.
Okay.
So we continue to identify those each year. We just,
That's what your inspection does, right? Go through the, when you do the inspection in the fall is where you're checking the cracks in the pool and trying to find out if we have leak issues, correct?
yes.
Because of how old the pool is? Okay,
and we're gonna talk to some manufacturers that we're gonna budget for a liner, and we're gonna talk to the manufacturers because we think, with the age of the shell, the concrete, and just the chlorine in the water, makes it deteriorate, and we think, and we'll have to get the experts to weigh in, that the liner will alleviate that issue. So we'll put in the budget for next year to put in a liner similar to what we had over at Lovekin. And so that would hopefully prolong the life of the pool and the shell, and buy us 8 more years before we, figure out what we want to do with a new pool or what have you.
was that the reason we put the liner in? Was the cement was deteriorating at Lufkin? What, do you know?
Yeah, that was like right
Was
the
that
first
the main
go-around I was
reason?
here, I left, but it's probably the reason, because Lovekin was a little older.
Was it, because I think they did it it started leaking or cementing, and they thought that the liner would prevent the cracks from, do you
It
remember,
served
Gina?
several purposes, but keep in mind that the pool was built as a neighborhood homeowners association pool and not a municipal pool, so it was different.
Structure?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I think maybe it needed it sooner.
Put in a new
than-
gutter system too
Yeah.
over there, and the whole 9 yards, along with that liner.
Well, I'm just talking about why we did Lufkin earlier, and then now Jefferson needs the liner for
Because-
the comparison that's gonna come across on.
Jefferson hasn't really, we haven't really needed it like we did at Lufkin. In
Okay.
Lufkin, we did in the 90s, so it was quite a while ago, 95, 96, I think. That pool is a little bit older, it was a little bit older.
Right. Yeah, that was,
Still, it wasn't designed and built as a municipal pool.
okay. Wasn't built for us. As the population we put in that pool, got it.
Donna?
I've got some questions for Brian. Kevin Patrick and Al Stosh had said at a meeting, I don't recall what meeting, that they were going to get some footage as well. I don't know if Kevin was going to use the drone or Al was going to come over and video. They had mentioned
For the demolition?
for the CRB center.
Yeah,
I thought they were
demolition.
gonna,
Yeah, Kevin Patrick and Al hadn't contacted us regarding setting up anything to do recording or anything for this, so I'm not sure if they did anything or not.
okay.
I had talked to Al, like maybe it was the first concert of the summer, just in passing, and we were just kind of spitballing a little bit for ideas, and we talked about maybe doing some time lapse for the construction, but that's as far as it went so far.
And I just looked at my phone to get the date also. It was over 4th of July weekend. I emailed you like almost a week ago. They have built a shrine on the east side of Lufkin on Ardmore. The tree like just north of the drain. It's got teddy bears and crosses and prayers and everything on the tree. I don't know if that's
It's not, it
legal.
hasn't been approved by anybody, but, no.
We
What was
don't.
the shrine too, you know?
It was a gentleman named Brian, that's all I know. I don't.
I don't know if there was a plaque there for him or not.
Oh,
It
it's
certainly would.
huge.
Yeah. Well, when the county starts their earth moving, you know.
I just wondered if there's any way, if anyone knew about it or to contact these people, because I mean, there's some really like teddy bears and backpacks and like prayer statues, and I hate to
Yeah.
see it.
Well, if there's a contact person, we'll try to find one. But the best option would be to, if they're honoring a person, if there was a memorial, to buy a plaque like we do with
Well, that's
all
what
the
I
other
kind of
memorials.
thought, and I
and put a
didn't know
plaque
what
there.
the significance of the tree was. You know,
You know, all
they
the
go up
teddy
around
bears and
there-
everything, when it rains, the weather, it's just gonna turn into
Right, mush.
bush and garbage. You know?
And then I was talking to someone, and they said, they live over here by the park, and they said after 4th of July, that the fields were really in bad shape with litter and fireworks. Did you experience anything, Brian?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't much different than most years. I think we did have one trash can at Twin Lakes. I think that, you know, the fire department called us about over the weekend or whatever, so we
Yeah,
took it out.
he said it was one of these fields right out here, so I was assuming it was the baseball fields, because he said he lived by Iowa Center.
Yeah, there were a few fields. I think the flat open space, I think they go out there and set up to shoot fireworks off. So we had multiple baseball fields where we would clean fireworks off of and kind of cleaning them up. So it was nothing much different than we've seen in past years. But yeah, there was a good amount of firework debris and trash from the weekend.
I think when D45 mows their grass too, that they'll probably kind of maintain that as well. You know, we'll pick up
And
stuff.
what approximately, off the top of your head, if you know, what does a liner cost?
Oh, like a pool liner?
Yeah,
$100,000
that's what I
and
thought.
more. Yeah. 130 maybe. We're budgeting a little more than that for next year.
Yeah, I'd say between 100 and 150,000, depending on how costs go and things change.
Right.
Yes?
Yes. Director Gola, based on your comment with reference to projected or possible forecasted 8 years with the
Can
liner?
you speak up a little, Christine? 'Cause I
Yeah,
can't.
with the
Thank you.
liner, I don't know if this is on. You had mentioned a potential 8-year possible forecast for the pool with a new liner. Based on that forecast, would it behoove us as a commission or as a department to initiate consistent and ongoing conversations with the village manager and board to start some open dialogue regarding 8 years down the road and what the recommendations would be at that point and potential budgeting over the 8-year timeline and places where we would be looking for funding so that we're prepared potentially in 8 years to either repair or replace the swimming pool?
Yeah, we'll have to have some community input meetings. We'll have to figure out the location, you know, if it's gonna stay over here. You know, there was some talk when we had the community input meetings for the rec center on doing the pool over there, and then Williams had that conceptual design with the rec center and a pool. So that has to all be kind of ironed out. But the liner I think their life expectancy is 8 to 10 years on the liner. And that's basically what happened to Lufkin, because That liner was older than 10 years and just failed on us. Finally delaminated.
Yes, the challenge that I find with that and with some of our other major amenities around the village is that unfortunately, I did not see anticipated forecasts or budgeting, knowing that there were terms and timelines associated with the life of these amenities. So from my perspective, now's the time to initiate those conversations and start projecting forecasts and funding so that we don't end up in a similar circumstance. Thank you.
No, I'm good, thank you.
I just have a question on the lane 3 repair. Is that a permanent repair or is that a temporary repair?
So I guess we'll see. It's, we repaired when we pulled it off, we tried to get as much additional outside of that we needed to get off. It's possible that in the fall or next spring, something could get back there, but we go through the whole pool in fall and spring and try to identify those areas. So it's, we did it so it could make it through the rest of the season, so there would be no more issues, but it is possible that we'll have to pull more of that off and make them more permanent repairs.
Because there's some rotting concrete, there's probably, you can't make assumptions about the concrete near it, I suppose.
Right, yeah. Usually we try to go much wider than we really need because you're right, it spreads quite a bit. And if you don't get it all, then it only takes a little bit to make it bad again. So.
We hope it's permanent, but we'll see, I think, is that right?
We do, yes.
A question on the time lapse. Are those like village cameras, or did we buy them, rent them, or someone loan them, or?
They are village cameras. Yeah, we own them.
Just curious. That's all. Anyone else? Questions? Then we will move on. Director of Parks and Rec and Fleet. Greg.
Okay, thank you. So just a couple of quick items that relates to programming and such. The village and VFW ran the 4th of July parade. This is this has been the first year that we really worked hand in hand with the VFW and some other groups, Chamber and Y, all got together and had several pre-meetings starting back in March maybe. With some other community folks, and from what I understand, I wasn't there, I was out of town, but I guess the parade went off without a hitch. We had some staff, I know Public Works had some staff in. One of Brian's guys came in to help with electric and setup of the stage over by the viewing area, and from what I've heard, it was some good comments and good feedback, and we'll have a wrap-up meeting with the VFW and plan for next year. So, and then of course the June concerts, Gina touched upon that. They ended, and so now we move on to the Kiwanis Wednesday concerts over at the Prairie Path. Unfortunately, we got rained out last week. They're calling for rain tomorrow. So I don't know. Fingers crossed. It's basically we're a support group for the Kiwanis. So we have staff and to help them out. And then after July, then we move back to Cortese in August for our concerts over at Cortese Memorial Park. So just the lineup, it starts August 3rd. We have Mr. Myers, which is Calypso music. August 10th is Chicago's own piano band, which is Billy Joel, Elton John, Stevie Wonder music. August 17th is a band called Merle Music, and they're rock and funk. August 24th is a band called Strung Out, and there's 70s music. And then we finish up on the 31st with Jose Valdez and the Mambo All-Stars, which is salsa, merengue, cha-cha. A little different than we've had in the past. So we usually ended up with Howard and White Boys. We've done that for the last several years, so we're trying something different this year. So we were really fortunate for the June series that we weren't rained out. A couple cold days, less than 50 or less than 60, two Thursdays in a row. But for the most, they all went off, and we held them all, so that was a plus. So good to see the attendance growing. People are more sitting in the streets now, so we just expect that to continue on and to grow. A lot of kids roaming around, a lot of folks that commented, a lot of children, which is good to see. So folks are bringing their kids out and enjoying the free music. So that's basically all I had. Brian stole my thunder about CRB. So that's all I have under my section. Got more on the business part.
Okay. Question? Christine?
Not a question, just a comment. We did get very positive feedback from one of the bands with respect to the PA support for the speakers and the PA and the gentleman, I believe, who was supporting the music venues for the bands at Summerfest. So that was very good. Thank you.
Anyone else? Donna?
With the parade, have we done, I know like, the homecoming parade, we've had like the commissions and stuff like that have a float in them. Have we ever done the commission float in the parades, or do we have the ability with a banner to do something potentially for next year?
Sure. Yeah. And matter of fact, we talked about it at our staff meeting this morning, that there was some interest in some village employees also participating, so we could extend the invitation to the commissions as well, for sure, and get a few more bands.
Any other questions before we move on? Move to business.
Okay, so Lovekin Park, so we're waiting on the county to start their project, the earth moving. They had told Public Works, the south portion of the stormwater project is the county with the Public Works Department. We've touched upon that before. The earth moving company was tentatively wanted to start July 5th, but I think some of the weather hampered some of their projects elsewhere, so they were delayed. So hopefully, if not by the end of this week, early next week, they'll start with the earth moving for the stormwater portion. And once they're complete with that, which is 2-3 weeks, I think, then we'll be able to start on our side, on the north side, with the recreation amenities. Dan Dalzell from 3D is working on all the specs, so we can go out to bid for the labor to install the spray pad and the structures, and the playground and the ninja course. So hopefully he'll be finished with writing up the specs. We had some delay with the, I believe it's RCP, the guys that are sending us the band shell shelter and the restroom open air shelter. So we got those specs in from them, so I think we're about close, and we'll publicize the bids and then take it from there. So as soon as I get more of a timeline, I'll let y'all know on when those specs will be out and when we'll do a bid opening and then take it to the board for approval. So as soon as I get more information, I'll let you know, hopefully by next month.
So is the open air shelter and the band shelter something that can be built in the fall, or is just getting the bids for doing it next year?
Yeah, I don't know the time frame. I can't tell you, Donna. If we can get as much done in the fall, again, if the county is finished with their project in 3 weeks, which is early August, and we're able to start
So it's all,
mid to end
it's
of
all
August.
dependent on where the county is and where we're at and the bids and the weather.
And the labor, when they're available, if we can start all those items in September.
So a lot of variables are.
September, October, we can knock out a couple things, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, a lot of variables, a lot of balls up in the air.
Yeah, so we'll try to get as much as we can this
Right.
fall, because, I would like to get everything done at the end of spring of next year, so we're ready to go in May. But those specifics, though, we'll kind of tie up those loose ends and get you more specifics when they're available. But anyway, that's all I have on Lovekin. And then Lions Park, so the board approved the resolution to hire Upland Design. They've worked with Williams Architects before, and 3D, who we normally go with the grants for the OSLAD grant. Dan, he's semi-retired. Upland has a good working relationship with Williams, so it was kind of an easier match. And Dan's out of town. He's in Switzerland, actually. So he's enjoying Switzerland, but he missed the opportunity to go for our OSLAD grant. And we've nothing but good things to say about Dan and the projects we've done with him in the past. But anyway, Upland, we've had a couple of staff meetings with Upland. We did publicize that the community input meeting will be held next Monday here at the Iowa from 5:30 to 7. It's kind of just a drop-in. They'll have some boards up with different types of playgrounds, some structures, open-air structure, I think, shelter. They'll show some ball field things that we want to do, basketball court. So there's the playground, of course. With the different structures of the playground. So
We'll be taking votes from the public.
we will. They have a rating system on the different types of playgrounds folks would like, and you pick 3, and I think there was a rating them 1 to 3, or just pick, I forget what.
It's in different themes. And
Yeah, the different themes of
stuff.
the playground, and I
Okay.
forget if you're rating them 1 to. I don't think it's rating them. I think it's just picking out of the 6 or 7 types. You just pick your best 3 that you would like, and weigh in, and then some, just like what happened at Lovekin. One of the young guys wanted a ninja course we didn't think about. So
He's the first little kid
Yeah.
that we asked, what did he want? And right out of his
ninja
mouth
course,
came.
which was great. So if there's opportunities there for somebody to weigh in on some different things, definitely want it in that west end where the homes are off of Euclid, I believe it is. We want to just kind of keep that passive recreation. We don't want to do anything out there. So that would be benches, a walking path, the pollinator gardens, those type of things. So they'll kind of show those options, and then they'll take that information and do a presentation at the next board meeting on the 24th. Is that July 24th? Yeah. Do the presentation, and then we'll have a resolution for the board to approve about moving forward for the funding, because we need a resolution for the IDNR needs that the village will move forward and provide the funding for it's a matching grant up to $600,000. So if we apply for the full grant, our project would be $1.2 million, and then the DNR would fund half of that, up to $600,000. So we're going to move forward with that after the input meeting, and that's, like I said, July 24th at that board meeting. And then the OSLAD grant is due at the end of August. Upland likes to get everything ready and prepared, and they want to mail it in by the middle of August, so August 15th or 16th. And then we'll have to wait until hopefully January to see if we're successful on acquiring that grant.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Question, are they going to do a presentation, or is it more just an open house? Is anyone going to do a presentation?
No,
or
it's an open
just
house, and kind of like if you remember how Dan had some of the boards up with
on
the
the
different
pictures, and
yeah.
kind of put what you liked with a sticker, or
Yeah.
fill out a ballot type
We're
thing?
passing out paper, and they can rate
Right.
the 3 options if they want kind of the net playgrounds, the climbing. Is it netting or
Yes.
ropes? Like a ropes. Not
There
rope,
was
I don't want to say ropes.
Some different cool ones these
Yeah.
days. So,
A
yeah.
theme, the theme playground, whether it's a ship.
Like pirates or something?
Exactly.
Yeah, that was
So there
wonderful.
could be a theme playground, it could be like the climbing structures, which we don't have actually in any of our parks. I mean, we have climbing walls and everything, but not some of the
Yeah, it was like the whole playground was like ropes and climbing things and stuff. So it's pretty cool
Pretty
when
cool.
you see it. So.
But we'll have the community weigh in and whatever they like.
Any of you guys ever seen the gravity chairs? And are they functional in the Midwest?
What are they called?
I think they're called gravity chairs. It's kind of like a chair that you sit on, it kind of goes around on a rail. I don't know if it would have hydraulics in it, and it might not be good for,
I'm not sure I've seen it. I mean, we have like our zip line that we have at Willowbrook Park.
yeah, but this one,
You know.
it's similar to that, but it just kind of goes like in a loop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That might be along the same lines, like a zip line. It's
Yeah.
just, it's not
Write
hydraulics.
it down.
We can look into it.
Another question, has anyone gotten any kind of explanation of why the grants went from 400 to 600,000? Does that mean that next year they might go down to 200,000, or they're not going to be available? Is there any, no one knows?
I
It's-
think the governor, allocated more money to that grant, so. Because it's been $400,000 matching
Forever.
grant for a long time, so. And maybe the DNR had something to do with that and said, hey, it's been 400,000 forever, we need to bump it up a little bit, especially in light of the current climate,
That's what I
economic
was
climate.
thinking, with the
you know,
way everything's
the way
gone.
everything's gone up in price, that it's costing
Villages more to do
villages
stuff.
and park districts, rec departments more, so. And then,
After we have the open house, is that when they're going to determine what they're going to ask for on that grant? Or have we already decided what's going for?
yeah, we haven't
the-
decided the type of amenities, like there's even like the rocker structures. We're gonna definitely have swings, so that's gonna be in there, because we've had comments, I've had a lot of, they're gonna be swings, we're gonna keep the swings in there. But there's different apparatus, like these big rockers that they have, so there might be some different
Teeter-totters,
options that people
right.
can weigh in on. Yeah, the old merry-go-round, but.
So that's what you said they wanted it in the middle of August 15th, they want it done. So
They're-
after the open house, is that where they're going to start deciding what amenities we have, what we're going to ask for? so
Right
that
after
we
the
can
open house, they're
write
gonna
it
take
out
that
for the
information.
grant? That is when it's going to come about, right?
Yep,
After we
they're
have
gonna
the
take all
open-
that information.
From-
You can't change a basketball court, we're gonna put a basketball
Well,
court in.
I understand, the
So,
basketball
there's-
court,
it's-
and then we talked about a playground was one of the things, but what type of a playground? Or, I'm sorry, we talked about the child playground, correct, off of that building?
Yeah.
And the.
That's the same.
That's the same thing. So it's just basically what type of playground you want, because, we're losing 2 basketball courts, so we're gonna replace, there's nothing you can do, we're gonna replace the basketball court. One of the areas that the original design, concept design from the rec center had was coming outside the senior multi-purpose room was a nice seating area, more passive. It's not active recreation, it's passive seating area, and maybe some chess and checker tables and seating and benches and a pergola. So that might be incorporated. I think there's a design on that. But it's basically the playground, what type of playground you want to see. Is there an educational component that you want to see in there? Do we want an open air structure where folks can sit and watch the baseball game, some covered shade, or watch their kids on the playground? We want an open air shelter, so those things that they can weigh in
Are
on.
those all the things in the open house that?
Yes.
They're gonna, that's what they're talking about?
Yes.
right? All those different options at the
Correct.
open house, and then from what you get the information from the open house, that's where the grant, where they're gonna write the grant from, correct?
Right, and we've already went through
Because I know you
some,
mentioned checklists, so I'm trying to,
Yeah,
the more we
Upland-
can put on that checklist, the better we are to get the
that's why they're
grants.
the
So-
experts, and they know the checklist, and so they're gonna guide us what's best to add, so we can check off all the boxes, so we can ensure that we'll have a good chance of getting the grant. So that's
Okay.
what their job is, that's why we've hired them, and they'll make sure, because we don't want to be really focused on just one area and then not check any of the other boxes. If we did that,
We never get
chances
the
are we
grant.
wouldn't get the grant.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different
I
components.
just want to know what the schedule is on
Yep.
that that open house is to give them ideas, and then from there,
Yes.
they're gonna try to take the information the public gives them so that we can fill as many check boxes as we can from there,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Okay.
And they'll make that presentation, they'll kind of give it conceptual, this is what we've garnered from the community input, and this is what we're looking to add to those outside amenities, and then,
Is that at the board meeting on the 24th? That's what you're speaking of, is when they're
They'll
gonna
do
be
their
doing that
presentation, and
presentation
we'll
on
have
the
a-
24th.
we'll have the recommendation to move forward to apply for the grant for $1.2 million coming out of Brian's budget.
That was mine.
Hey, it could be worse, it could be coming out of your pocket.
So if that's it on Love, I'm sorry, Love, if that's it on the Upland, the next part of the Recreation Center is the notice for the bids for the bid package number 2. We went for the first bid package, which is the early items that we needed to secure the pricing on. We needed to secure the availability to order them because they're long lead items, steel, precast concrete. I don't know how long that was, but definitely HVAC. So that was done and it was approved. So the next step is the bid package number 2. So that the notice went out on Friday. It was published in the Daily Herald, and then the bids are due back. They can drop them off here or they can mail them in. They're due on July 27th, and the bid opening is here on July 27th at 2 p.m. It's a Thursday, I believe. And I can go through, there's 24 items on this bid package number 2, and I'll read them off to you, just so everybody has an idea of what all those are. So include the following trade packages for excavation and site demolition, site utilities, asphalt paving. I can get you this later too if you want a copy. Asphalt paving, that's for the parking lot. Brick pavers, landscaping, concrete, masonry, miscellaneous metals, general trades, roofing, glass and aluminum, exterior envelope work, light gauge framing, drywall and acoustic, ceramic tile, terrazzo, carpet and resilient flooring, wood and resilient athletic flooring, painting, athletic equipment, food service equipment, plumbing, fire protection, HVAC, and electric. So those are all the items that will be on this bid package number 2. And after that 27th, WB Olson will make sure that all the bids come in and they're the lowest responsible bidders, and they'll do their background checks on all of them and get the references. And then we hope to tentatively try to include the approval for all those items on the board agenda for August 14th for board approval.
Was HVAC on both bid 1 and bid 2?
Yeah, HVAC was the big units, and
The roof units.
I didn't have the specifics on the HVAC.
Early bids was the mechanical units for the rooftop units. The rest of it is
Probably
all
the
the other
big-
ductwork.
Ducting and stuff
Yeah,
like that, yeah.
all the other miscellaneous
Thank
stuff
you.
that connects everything to
Yeah,
those
which
units.
doesn't have a long lead time.
There's a lot of, the bigger units
Yeah,
that
sure.
needed it, so. Okay, good question, thank you. Other questions on that?
The bids are separated.
Slowly, the
right?
wheels are starting to go,
Yeah.
they're getting faster and faster.
The bids are for each item, correct? You read off all the items, so that there's companies that will bid on one item, right, of it, or...
There could be a contractor
together.
that does plumbing and painting, and I don't know, but they'll bid individually on each item, yeah.
Right, there would be individual bids for each one of the things that you listed, right? Okay.
But a big contractor like Bear, someone may bid on all of them.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have a big contractor that does electrical and does plumbing,
Yeah.
and, you know, they can bid on all of them. But they might get the electrical and they not get the plumbing.
Right. Any other questions? I'll move on to the next agenda item, and that's the vote for the future location of Parks and Rec Advisory Commission meetings. So, as I understand it, the options are keeping it here or moving it to the city building.
To Village Hall.
Village Hall, right, it's at Village Hall. Right. So we'll just do any comments first before we do the roll call vote?
I got
Yep.
some comments on why I would like to keep it at Iowa and laterally move it to the Iowa Center. To me, for transparency, I think it would be a better move laterally to go from Iowa to the Recreation Center than to have, in the next year or so, go from the Iowa Center to the Village Hall to the new rec center. It will be confusing for residents. There has been some talk about the ADA ramp being functional, but it's not really capable for one of our commissioners' chairs. It's functional, but not capable. So I have an issue with that because this commissioner has been with us a long time, and that's not a way to be treated. And the third one is, if we were to move to Village Hall, we're taking away from special meetings that the board may have. We'd be hogging on the calendar. Open houses, bid openings, they would have to work around us versus, if we were there the second Tuesday of every month, if the board had to call a special meeting, that's blocked.
Anyone else have any comments before we do the vote?
My comment to add on to it is that this is the easiest location for our staff, other than Brian, that has the material here. So if we asked a question that they needed to provide information for, they could go to their office or the location to get it. Rather, if it was at Village Hall, we've got to wait for our next meeting to get that answer or for them to send it. It's a more convenient location to keep it here, and it's more, and personally for me, it's more personable to have it in this building than in Village Hall. I feel Village Hall is very cold, and that comes from being a trustee, sitting up there. It felt very cold and not very friendly type atmosphere, where here is, if people come in, it's a more welcoming environment than the atmosphere. But that's my personal opinion, that here's more personable for the public to come in, feel comfortable, and not a big open type of space where business is done with the village. But that's only my opinion.
Is there a time when this building won't be available and the rec center also would not be available?
That's a good question.
No.
No.
This one building won't be torn down until the other one's up.
Correct.
So what would be the reason for moving the location?
Well, the only thing that is a little more costly to have it over here because of the sound, along with, doing, the sound and videotaping off-site. The guys have their equipment over at Village Hall. So the equipment is already there. But I know there's an additional cost because we don't have sound, and so they're along with whatever fees and charges they do for videotaping this meeting. There's a charge for that, but there's going to be an additional charge for the addition of the sound. So,
Will there be, is the sound and video equipment included in the construction of the new, or in the the plan for the new, I guess I've thought about it before, but
There, we did have, it's all roughed in with low voltage stuff, and I know in the senior room, I think just to save a little money, we didn't have the video equipment, or was it? Yeah,
That was the, instead of buying the screens.
oh yeah, the screens, we're gonna buy the screens are on our own. So it'll be roughed in to, so we'll be able to,
it would be the same cost there as it would be in the,
I'm not
The
sure on the cost
Village Hall.
with the
Is there
sun.
additional cost to have them come here versus do it at?
Not sure.
Sure.
I think it's an additional, I can't answer that. We can look into that.
so basically it's largely just, it's a cost saving measure to move it.
Be cost savings for sure for the, because there's the added addition of the sound, because we don't have the sound here. There's still gonna be a charge for the additional taping of the meeting, whether it's here or at Village
We're
Hall.
basically renting these.
Yeah.
That's
That's on top of
the videotaping, okay. Any
so if we
other-
actually, so if we're at Village Hall, then we wouldn't have to, there's already sound system there. So
Right, yeah.
We wouldn't incur that cost.
But, yeah, but would the idea, would this change be permanent or just until the Lions Recreation Center is built? So what
That
we're
would be,
voting for,
that would be up to the commission, but, you know, the standard, like park districts, they'll have their meetings at their buildings, so. And, you know, without, without the issue of videotaping and everything, we were planning on holding the future rec commission meetings
Meetings at the rec
at the
center.
new rec center.
any other questions or comments before the vote? Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote. Christine Murphy?
What are
Oh,
we
sorry, yeah,
voting
very,
on?
yep, right, sorry, you're right. So we're voting to move the meetings from here to the Village Hall. So yes would be moving it, and no would be keeping it here. Are all good with it? Okay. All right, so let me try that again. Roll call vote. Christine Murphy,
No.
Donna Noxon,
No.
Sarah Collentine,
No.
Cheryl Tucker,
No.
and Sam Bossum, no. Procedurally, do we have to, are we good, or do we have to do a motion to accept or anything like that? I can't remember.
Not sure, are you familiar with,
I think we're good, right?
I think with a commission, I think you can take a voice vote.
voice
like
vote
that.
like
Acclamation
that?
vote?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I think we're good. All right. All right, moving on to the next agenda item. Any public comments for non-agenda items? There's no public here tonight. So moving on to commissioner comments. Sarah, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Donna?
No comments, thank you.
Christine?
No comments tonight, thank you.
Cheryl?
I have a question for you. Did you get your answer on the multimedia that you wanted? Because we brought that up at the last meeting. You asked on Twitter and a lot of other events. Did you ever get the answer that you wanted on that?
Well, I mean, I thank you for asking. So I guess my concern is still, to me, it seems like we're not posting enough outside of Facebook. And even some of the Facebook stuff, it seems like leading up to a big event like the Summerfest, we should be, daily, one more day left, and, and multiple social media platforms. And I didn't see that happen.
We've actually, after that meeting we had last month, we've brought it up to the attention to the village manager, and,
Yeah.
that the commission would like to see more social media. And through our communications director, we also brought that up. So we'll keep harping.
Okay, yeah.
And
I'd
keep
just like to see
trying.
that, because
You know, we sent out like for the notice for the public input meeting.
Right.
You know, we're like, we gotta hit Twitter and constant contact we do internally here, but, so we're trying. So we're gonna still, you know, beat that drum.
Sam, I want to piggyback on that. Our social media specialists, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, Greg, but is our social media person just supposed to be doing posts, or are they supposed to be attending events and taking pictures and showing people,
That's a great question. I'll have to find out.
like what we did? You know, we had
Yeah.
kickball and kites, we had Summerfest. You know, are they supposed to be posting pictures and attending the events?
Great question. I don't have his job description in front of me, or the
Could
job
you find
description
out?
for the PIO. Yeah.
I mean,
I can I can send you all the job description, and it's a great question, because, you know, actually, we've asked for him to come out, and, you know, and he has been out to some events, but the job of a public information officer, not only is to get the information out, but also to, in my opinion, to
Well,
just come
yeah,
to
if
some
you
of the
took
events.
like, you know, let's say they took pictures of like Summerfest and say, oh my God, I forgot about it this year, but I'm gonna put it next year on my calendar. Or you see something that you might want to attend, you know, that's like the concerts. If you had pictures of the concerts out
Yep.
there, let's say, oh my God, I forgot about the
That looks like-
concerts.
looks like a lot
And,
of
you know,
fun.
I've taken pictures too. I should send them to him, because we're there, and I've taken pictures at every concert just about. So if he can't make it, we can certainly send him that information, and which we do. We've sent him information, and he does, and Brian, and Donnie posts that stuff. But so I can get his job description and share it, or talk to his immediate supervisor.
I think it would be great advertising for the village.
Sure.
I forgot we were.
Gina?
I will say that the communication specialist does communicate with us when he knows he cannot be at an event, and asks if we will send him our pictures. We have somebody on staff that takes pictures.
Oh.
And if that person's going to be at the event, oftentimes she'll use the camera that we have here and take pictures and put them in our files that we save them in off the network, and then send some pictures to him as well. So, you know, it's just a matter of, he's one person, you know, trying to do a lot for all the different departments. But we'll.
And we usually have staff at our events, so we can certainly take pictures and get that to Donnie as well. So, but we'll get back to you on.
Is that how the time-lapse thing's probably gonna get to him to put, or are we gonna
Probably,
put it
yeah.
on the recreational site?
Yeah,
In
we'll
order to
work
do
with,
it?
we will work with them to get that together, and then whatever he sees best to put up there, it's,
Because I was just wondering if it would be more on the village site type in general, or is it gonna be hidden in the recreational small part of it? We
won't-
don't know
We won't
that.
hide it anywhere. We're gonna.
Okay, well, I just wanted to know, because being that it's under, you know, Park and Rec, if it's only gonna be shown under the Park and Rec thing, that people have to try to, it's getting better, but it's still difficult sometimes to get to the different sites.
If you watched the meeting last night, they did talk about the
Yeah.
facelift that the.
Oh, I know, and I'm looking forward to that,
Me too.
making it,
It
and
look-
I'm
it
sure a
looks
lot of
great.
people
I'm very
in
excited
the
about it.
village are looking forward to that too, because some things are very difficult to find things, and,
Easier to navigate, hopefully.
well, hopefully, I mean, to navigation of it, because some of the people just give up because they get tired of trying to. And some of them are smart enough to call you guys and go, okay, I know it's here somewhere, what's the program and where it's hidden at, but
Yeah, I hear our front office staff take calls like that and do such a nice job, if I could just say that. You know, they do a great job of walking the public through how to get from point A to point B, whether if it's for just information or to register for a program. So if they call, we're able to help them. But I think that that's not going to happen as much once the powers that be roll out the new website.
Yeah,
It looks to be a lot more user-friendly.
I'm hoping it will be more smoother and that it will be used more often to.
I also would think any type of photographic or video of a building being demolished because the village is building another facility would be front page, information.
I would hope so.
That you
The
wouldn't have to
smokestack
search.
was front page.
Yeah.
When that smokestack, when the Ovaltine smokestack went on, you would think, so,
Or at least spotlight.
something or other.
So, do we got all the commissioner comments? Did I miss anyone? I'm sorry. Okay, Chairman, Chairperson comment. I don't have any comments tonight. Village staff comments. Gina?
I was a little nervous being on TV. So if I, said things more than once, the same thing, that's probably why. Hopefully next month I'll be less nervous.
Be used to it.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Brian?
No comments, thanks.
You weren't nervous at all? You were-
Greg?
Not really anything much to add. We've just got a busy few months coming up, so.
Yeah,
it's
good
exciting.
stuff.
Exciting times.
Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
I got a first and a second.
You got a first and second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we are adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Great job, Stan.